Spin Cycle America, American Stories, Episode 2, The National Parks, A Country Worth Preserving. Welcome to Spin Cycle America. I'm Coach. This isn't about political parties. This is about principles. It's about history, responsibility, freedom, and having honest conversations about the country we all call home. So let's get started. Today I want to talk to you about something that belongs to all of us. Something that doesn't care about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Something that doesn't ask how much money you make, how much money you have in the bank. Something that doesn't care where you were born. I'm talking about America's national parks. Mountains, rivers, deserts, our forests, our battlefields, historic sites. Places where Americans fought, struggled, explored, built in communities, and sometimes sacrificed everything to build a place to raise our kids. These places are part of our story, and there's something we have been entrusted to preserve for the people who come after us. And are we doing the right thing? Are we preserving it? Are we building this country the correct way? Or are we destroying it? But for some reason, many people seem to take these things for granted and want to destroy them or tear them down. History is where we learn from our mistakes. It's where we grow from them. We teach our next generation about the history and the stories that we can tell our next generation. We want to be able to leave them something. We want to be able to leave them a legacy. So today's story is, how did America decide to preserve its treasures? One of America's great ideas was that some places should be protected so future generations could experience them. So Yellowstone became the world's first national park in 1872. And over time, more national parks, of course, and protected places were established. And you probably know about them. There's several different places: Grand Canyon, the seven natural wonders of the world. Um, but there was a problem. America had beautiful and historical important places scattered across the growing nation. And there wasn't yet one federal agency responsible for managing the national park system. So there's nobody in charge. Who's going to be in charge of all this as they were growing? But that changed in 1916. President Woodrow Wilson signed legislation creating the National Park Service on August 25th, 1916. The National Park Service job was to preserve these places while making them available for people to enjoy. For you, for me, for everybody out there watching and listening. So more beautiful sceneries. When we hear about national parks, we might think about mountains and waterfalls. But America's national parks and preserves much more than just sceneries. They preserve history. There are battlefields, there's presidential homes, Native American cultural sites. Especially if you love history, these are awesome places to visit. Places that really kind of resonate as to where we came from, where we started off as a little country. And we're still young, only 250 years old, but historic buildings, Civil War sites, places connected to the civil rights movement, places connected to westward expansion, as well as places connected to military history. Think about all that. The National Park Service has grown far beyond the original idea of simply protecting beautiful landscapes. Its responsibility included preserving natural in cultural resources and helping Americans understand the history connected to those places. That's important because sometimes the way to understand history isn't to read about it, but it's to stand where it happened. For example, let me tell you about a place that I really enjoyed visiting, especially as a kid. It was one of the seven natural wonders of the world, and that was the Grand Canyon. Did you know what Native Americans? Did you know what Native American tribes called the National Grand Canyon home? There was at least 11 different tribes that called the Grand Canyon home. When I was a kid, we used to travel there a lot, go through the ruins and the little caves, little homes there. We would find arrowheads and occasionally tools that they used for survival. Do you remember ever seeing the Grand Canyon wall dwellings, the little homes, the little caves? Ancestral pueblos and other early indigenous cultures utilized the natural alcoves and shallow caves within the canyon walls, and they built stone masonry rooms directly inside the existing natural eroded caves and openings and cliffs. This was awesome stuff that they built. These were beautiful places that they built to live in. What a perfect place to learn about history. A great place for history. A history lesson. A lesson for some of the first people to pass through this great nation. So America's story isn't perfect. It's far from perfect. And here's something I want to emphasize. Preserving American or America history doesn't mean pretending everything America has ever done was right. We are far from perfect. We've made mistakes, plenty of them along the way, and we're going to make more mistakes along the way. And trust me when I say this, we're going to make more. But it means remembering the good, remembering the bad, remembering the victories that we've had, remembering the failures, remembering the sacrifices, the people who gave all they had to build this nation. And that's where we're losing sight of things going on. If you listen to the news, people are losing the sight of the sacrifices we had and learning from the sacrifices. We need to learn from our mistakes. That's what history's for. People say, oh, well, why do we need history? Well, we learn from it, as well as learning from what is to come, what's coming in the future. The National Park Service itself recognizes that America's historic places can tell complicated stories from multiple perspectives. And I'm sure everyone listening to this channel has stories they could tell, from their grandparents to themselves, stories that they've encountered when they've gone to historic places themselves, learning different stories. I'd love to hear them in the comments. That's what history's supposed to do. It isn't supposed to make us hate our country. It isn't supposed to make us believe our country was perfect. It's far from perfect. It's supposed to help us understand our country and how we can preserve it for the next generation to come. So here's my coach's perspective. Here's where I want to put on my coach's hat. When you coach football, you're not just preparing today's team, you're building something for the players to come after them. You teach the players to take care of their equipment, take care of that field that's out there. My team just recently had a new turf field put in about 2 years ago. So you teach them to take care of it. Don't eat chewing gum on the field, crossing the track with your cleats on. Respect the program. Why? Because someone else is coming behind them. America works the same way. We inherited this country from generations before us. And someday, we're going to hand it over to another generation. And right now, we seem to be battling amongst ourselves. And we have different parties fighting amongst ourselves. We actually have three parties out there, and one party's way out to the left, and we're all fighting against ourselves. But the question is this: what condition are we going to leave this country in for the next generation? How can you help? How can you help preserve this country? 250 years of America. This year is especially important. 2026 marks 250 years since the Declaration of Independence was signed. That's 2.5 centuries of American history. Think about that. Think about everything that's happened over that 250 years. We're still a very young country. But a revolution happened. A new constitution was signed. A civil war happened. The abolition of slavery. The industrialization happened. 2 world wars happened. The Great Depression, Civil Rights Movement, Vietnam, the space race, the Cold War, in recent wars, Afghanistan, Iraq, and millions of ordinary Americans building families, communities, businesses, farms, schools, churches, and neighborhoods. America's story is huge. It's enormous. And you know what? We're still writing it. We're still building it. We're still creating our story. It's not finished yet. So here's history in a minute. The National Park Service was established on August 25th, 1916. This year, the agency reached its 110th year anniversary. While the United States celebrates 250th year anniversary, the Department of the Interior has announced the National Park Week for August 22nd through the 30th, with August 25th designated as a free day in honor of National Park Service's birthday. That means you can go get in the park for free on August 25th. It's not going to charge you anything. It's a free day. Go visit the parks. That's pretty good reason to remember what these places represent. Take a day, go visit his history. Step back in time. See where it all happened. So here's my coach's salute. Today's coach's salute goes to the people who protected and preserve America's historic places. The National Park Service employees, the park rangers, historians, archaeologists, volunteers, maintenance workers, and firefighters, and the countless people who work behind the scenes to make sure these places survive for the next generations. I want to thank you all. So here's the American of the Week. Now this one's a little bit different because of who I'm going to thank, or who the American of the Week is. This week, I'm going to make America itself the American of the Week. Not because America is perfect. It isn't. It's far from perfect. But because 250 years after declaring its independence, we're still here. We're still fighting. We're still arguing. We're still debating. We're still changing. We're still learning. And we're still trying to become a better version of the country we say we want to be. That's worth remembering. So here's the verse for today. One generation shall commend your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. Psalms 145, paragraph, verse 4. That's what we're doing with history. One generation teaching another. So pass it on. So here's the question of the day. What's one American place you visited that made you appreciate this country a little more? Maybe it's a national park, a battlefield, a military cemetery, a historic town, the Grand Canyon, the Arizona desert, or maybe it was someplace or somewhere close to home. Tell me about it in the comments. I definitely want to hear about it. So here's the challenge for today, the coach's challenge. Here's this week's challenge. Take someone younger than you to a historic place. It doesn't have to be a national park. It could be a museum. It could be a battlefield, a memorial, a historic building, even a cemetery where veterans were buried. Take a young person there, tell them the story, then ask them what they think. What do they think about it? What's their perspective? Because if you don't teach history to the next generation, somebody else will teach them their version of it. And that's when things start to go wrong. So here's my coach's final whistle. Every coach eventually leaves the field. Every player eventually graduates. Every generation eventually passes the responsibility to the next one. America is no different. We didn't create this country, we inherited it. And someday we're going to hand it over. So here's the question I want you to think about this week. Are we leaving America better than we found it? Not perfect, but just better. That's the responsibility of every generation. Take care of this country. Take care of it. Take care of your community. Take care of your family. And most importantly, teach the next generation why those things matter. I'm Coach. Thank you for joining me here on Spin Cycle America. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. It's about understanding where you came from, appreciating the freedoms we have, and doing our part to leave this country better for the next generation. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. And take care of each other. God bless you, your family, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. And I will catch you all on the next episode of Spin Cycle America. And you all have an outstanding day.